So I started off from there with 3 of my dogs to ski along the mountain range down to Dalarna. And then I jumped into a kayak, and I kayaked the Swedish coastline, the Finnish coastline, across the Finnish Bay, and Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania by kayak.
Okay.
But it didn't end out so well. I got attacked in my tent, and like a branch or a wooden stick, or what you call it, and hit the tent. So I had to like escape from the tent. I had 2 entrances, so I took the other one, but he ran after and beat me up quite bad. Yeah.
Was that in Sweden?
No, in Lithuania. Because I was the first person to connect the 3 ribbons we have in Sweden. So I started by skis, like I do the white ribbon. Then I kayaked the Swedish coastline, that's the blue ribbon. And then I hiked or walked the Swedish mountain range on foot. And that's the green ribbon. So I became the first person to do it in like one go. Hey, good morning.
Welcome.
Tack snälla. Hey.
Today we're chatting with Lina. What we know about her so far is that she has done expeditions all over the world. And at the moment she takes 10 huskies with her wherever she goes. She completed the white, green and blue ribbon here in Sweden. And we can't wait to get to know her better together with you guys.
You're an OG from Jämtland?
Yep.
Yeah. Born and raised here.
Yeah.
Somewhere in a very small village, or
yeah.
change?
Like even smaller village I'm living in right now. But just 8 kilometers from where I'm living right now. Yeah.
Okay. So that means you lived in a village with 5 people, 6 people? Or
no, I mean, my family was like 6 people, so...
And that was the whole village?
No, not really, but I don't know, maybe what, 10?
10 people living?
Or something like that. But it's still, there are like several small villages connected to each other, so if you take all of them, wasn't
like
too
a
bad.
mini commune kind of idea.
Yeah, so we have like 5 kilometers something down to Transformative.
Yeah. So how is that growing up like that very small, tiny village?
I mean, I think you never like think about it as just the way it is, but it was like great. We had like horses, rabbits, dogs, cats.
So it's more a wild, over nature upbringing than more of a city life, I would say.
Yeah, so the forest was the playground.
Yeah.
Was this east or west of Åre?
East.
East.
And so it's like halfway to Östersund.
Yeah.
Kind of exactly the midpoint.
Yeah. So it's on the E14 then somewhere, and then you go left or right.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
from here, I go north from E14.
Yeah.
And where did you go to school?
First in Tromsø. So from age 7 to 12, we were like 60 students there.
Wow, that is very tiny.
And then Krokom, and for gymnasium, Östersund.
You moved to one now that is kind of similar in size, I would say? Or
kind of, it is, But it was not planned. The pandemic.
The pandemic happened.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about that. How did that happen?
Yeah, in 2019, I went out for a tour, or what you call it. Yeah, so I started off like on skis from what do you call it? Like the 3-can up in the north, like where Sweden, Norway, and Finland goes together. The stone there,
The 3-point, how do you call it? The overlapping 3-point.
We drove
through
3 countries.
Once, yeah. What's the name?
Fredriksröset in Swedish. So I started off from there with 3 of my dogs to ski along the mountain range down to Dalarna. And then I jumped into a kayak, and I kayaked the Swedish coastline, the Finnish coastline, across the Finnish Bay, and Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania by kayak. And you cannot get any further because of the Russian water, Kaliningrad. So I was thinking, okay, how to do now, and was looking on the map, and the plan was to use bicycle, like pass it with bicycle. So I had brought a connector thing for the kayak that I can attach it to a bike. So I bought a bike from Marketplace for €50, and I found a man who welded a trailer for the kayak. But I was thinking, like, okay, but if I just pass Kaliningrad, it would take me just like 1 more week or 2 more weeks to kayak before I finish the loop.
So your original plan was to start somewhere in the north of Sweden, Finland,
Yeah,
and then
but, so I
do
started
a full loop to come back to Sweden. Then.
exactly. So I started by the Norwegian border, like what do you call the bridge? Svinesunds. The bridge of Svinesund. Yeah.
And that was in the winter, and so you had to ski, and then you started
first I ski.
kayaking.
Yeah, so I started in the springtime in the kayak. So the Swedish coastline is like 2,400 kilometers, and then I just continued.
Okay.
But then I was like, but I don't want to finish this, end this great kayak tour yet. So I looked at the map and saw like, okay, but maybe I can continue to like the Black Sea or Istanbul or something. That's what I did.
Okay.
But it didn't end out so well. I got attacked in my tent and got my hand like crossed. Like I had so many fractures in it, so I had to go back to Sweden, have surgeries, and also go to therapy, etc.
I want to retrace a little bit of steps. Sorry. First of all, I have a couple of questions there because you had dogs with you, and then you put them in the kayaks to. How does that work?
No, I didn't. Yeah, just my small dog, like the tiniest one.
Okay.
Back then, I had just like 2 dogs by myself. I had borrowed one, a husky. Mm-hmm. So I had an older Bouvier that normally was with me.
Yeah.
So, but she started to be old, so she was home. She was just with us, followed me for the ski tour.
Yeah, for the ski tour, and then so it wasn't the full trip. Wasn't a continuous thing. You did it in parts.
It was kind of continuous. I just had to change, go back home, leave some equipment, go straight down again. So I was home for like 48 hours or something.
And your original goal was to just go and have no time limit?
Exactly. So I was like started to rethink, maybe if I make it like a longer tour, I will go to Istanbul. But I had to go back home and stay home for a few months because of the accident or...
So you had an accident somewhere?
Not like an accident, but I got attacked. So when I was sleeping in my tent, a man came like with a big like branch or a wooden stick, or what you call it, and hit the tent. So I had to like escape from the tent. I had 2 entrances, so I took the other one, but he ran after and beat me up quite bad. Yeah.
Was that in Sweden?
No, in Lithuania.
Oh.
So I had to go back home, but everything like I was lucky.
You were just in your tent in a forest somewhere?
Yeah, exactly. But it's difficult to hide. I mean, I had a big yellow kayak standing out like outside the tent. So, and I had met this man before, on like earlier that day. So I think he knew that I was alone. It's not too many. I mean, there's not too many people go like towing a kayak behind a bicycle.
And how did you get out of the fight?
I think he wasn't like high on drugs or something. So he kind of woke up. First his eyes was not there. Like, it's difficult to like explain it. So put a finger on what that happened. But all of a sudden he was just like, oh, and was just running off. But also I dialed 112 while he was beating me up because the only thing I had was the phone in my hand.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm attacked. Maybe those words woke him up from where he was. Yeah.
And then he stopped.
Yeah, he stopped, But my bounty was with me, my small dog. She's just like 4.5 kilo dog.
Yeah.
And she escaped like in fear.
She ran away.
She ran away, yeah. So she was lost for quite some time.
Oh.
But I was also like very lucky because some days before this happened, I met an Indian man. And we had decided to meet up like the day after. Because he also wanted to make a long bicycle tour. But he had a different setup. He had like light gear. He was... could like work from his computer, so he was working for some days and should bicycle for some days. So I also called him, and of a coincidence, he was in like a youth hostel where the son was sitting in a wheelchair. So they had like a big car. So they drove there, helped me to like when I was in the ambulance on the way to the hospital. They like managed with all my things. Collected all of them, and he was like looking for my dog when I was in the hospital, and the policeman afterwards drove me back so we can continue for some hours, and then maybe she was lost for 14 hours.
Where did they find her?
Under a tree.
Oh.
Had
Yeah, and it had been like 40 degrees warm in the day, and she'd been running on the asphalt road, so all her paws, like the pads, was completely gone, like off. But it was like the people I met after this was so nice. I mean, the policeman, they drove her to a veterinarian, and they were closed, but the veterinarian decided to come there anyway, and he treated her for free. Like,
wow.
Yeah, so she got some vitamins to get take away the stress from the body, and so on, and also treat the pads, and yeah.
And you were in the hospital at the time?
But not for too long. I mean, they just have to make some X-rays and find out what was wrong, and then I needed a surgery, but I made it in Sweden.
Okay.
Yeah, so they just made the first things that needed to be done. And this Indian man decided to stop his vacation to follow me back to Sweden because I couldn't use my hand. So make sure I could bring all my things with me.
Wow, that's very kind.
Yeah, that's very kind. And also this man who welded a trailer for me, he had a friend that a friend of a friend or something that have a big truck. So he came to pick out all the things up, drove me to Estonia. I could take the ferry from there to Sweden. And the people I didn't really know helped me from there to take care of the bicycle, the kayak, and all these things. And I could go back home to Jämtland. And yeah.
So you have a good feeling about Estonia in the end, or?
Yeah, and all these people. I mean, it was just one bad person. And the rest of it was good, but of course it took some time for me to get over it.
Did you go back? Did you go back after?
I didn't go back there. I restarted from Stockholm and went south to Germany, and then I followed Donau. So I reached Istanbul in the beginning of 2020. So I started to kayak with my dog Bounty. So the plan was to go kayak for 2.5 years.
Okay.
But we just made it to the Greek border. I reached the Greek border the same day as all of Europe was set into lockdown. There was no way to pass the border. So I was like, okay, should I stay here and wait? Maybe it's just 2 weeks, but you never know. And in the now we know it was lockdown for a long time. Lasted for a very long time.
But you were then camping again, and how did that go?
Yeah, I was camping again, but it was a huge challenge. I had panic attacks quite often because every time it was windy or some tree branches hit the tent, my brain was sure that I was attacked again.
Yeah.
So it took some time to get over it. But for every good experience, the only bad one I've had started to get further away from me. So today I would say I have no big issues with camping. And I think I've spent more than 2,000 nights in a tent.
Wow.
In total, yeah.
But how does it work in your mind? You get attacked in a tent, and then the next day you say, well, I'm going to just continue, or you took a period off and you try to mentally work on that?
Yeah, I had to take some time off because I had the surgery done. I needed to rehab for the hand. But also my insurance company, they called me okay, do you know you have right to see a psychotherapist? We pay for it 10 times. So I used that, and she helped me to give me the tools to work with it. And then I also find strategies. I always now have, not now, but back then, just when it happened for the first year or something, I always had what do you call this? These battery-driven lamps, like a sling. Had it in the tent, make it cozy, find some podcast that make me calm if I started to stress up. And yeah.
Because I can imagine, especially when you're by yourself, and once that feeling sneaks in of being lonely, and anything can happen. That's completely. We lived in a tent for 2 years, almost, and when I would be scared, I would be like, okay, Tim is there, my dog was there, and it calms you down immediately.
Exactly.
But being by yourself, you just have to calm yourself down, and that's a whole different ballgame, I think.
Yeah, but also after a while, I realized the fears. They're not real. They are inside me. And what are the odds that it will happen again? I mean, how often get people attacked in a tent? And how many get it 2 times?
Yeah,
so I try to tell myself things like that.
Yeah, that's a good way to see it.
Yeah.
It's almost like being struck by lightning twice. Kind of similar.
Exactly.
But yeah, it is a scary story in a way. Did you feel that in any other country or anywhere else, or nowhere where you felt something happening? Unsafe.
I felt unsafe in Sweden too sometimes, but it's not like real. It's just inside me. But also I find out like the power of like social media. Often we talk about the bad things about like the side effects, but here people like reached out to me like, okay, I know this happened. We don't know each other, but if you want, you can stay in our backyard or we have a sofa or
Nice. There's so many good people, right?
And there are so many good people. That's, you have been traveling a lot too, and I think that's the best thing with traveling. You really learn how. The world is a good place.
Yeah.
If you just like believe what we see in television or listen to the radio and all this media, it's like, oh, people are like scary things. They are like not. They are evil things even. But there are so like many good things.
I can only think of literally one experience that we had.
We also had one bad experience, but all the rest was so good.
And that didn't even end bad. He was just a guy we were hitchhiking with, was going a bit crazy.
Yeah.
And he started to I was in the back with our dog and Tim was in the front. And at some point he started saying, "You're not allowed to speak Dutch anymore together." And then he was like, "Tim, take your head off." And then, just all these things in
French.
But
the whole story was kind of weird because at the beginning he spoke French to me and we were in the front and he was saying, I was in the army and I'm doing all these martial arts sports. So I'm like, okay, cool. Good for you. And then he started to become more and more aggressive during the ride. So he kind of became, like dominant and say you don't talk to her anymore. And
the tension just went up and up and up.
It was like, okay, I want to get out of this car as soon as possible. And luckily, at some point, he was close to his village. He said, "We want to go out here. Is that okay?" And we just literally jumped out of the car almost and ran away.
Wow.
So
the beautiful ending of that story was though that we then ended up. I saw a girl on the road, and she was around my age. I think I was 22 at the time. And I ran up to her, and I was like, "Oh, please, can you help us? A place where we can put up our tent?" And if something crazy just happened, and she was like, "Oh, I got the place for you." And she took us to her friends just down the road. And she said, "These guys have people staying over couch surfing all the time, and I'm sure you're welcome here." And we came in and they were sitting around the fire and they just put a cup of tea in our hands and we were shaking. And then we stayed there for almost 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
The most lovely people in the world.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Because even after the bad, you always have the good.
I still remember you saying, "A normal girl." And then you walked up to her and she was like, come. It was it's a good and the bad, like you say, but most is good because we can tell maybe 100 stories that are positive and that's the one that is negative. Wow. And then you were stuck kind of in to go back to your trip, you were stuck during COVID in...
So I went back home.
Yeah, you went back home.
Yeah.
With a plane?
Yeah, with a plane, yeah. So because everyone that was abroad, I guess
you had to go
texts like, okay, we have arranged a flight. Maybe I can stay anyway. And like my friends, like, no, if the government tells you go home, you're supposed to go home. So,
but you left your canoe in Greece then?
I was in Istanbul.
In Istanbul.
So because I found some people there that came to the border, drove me back to Istanbul, so I can leave everything there. The bicycle I've already given away to. I found a Syrian woman who had never been bicycling in her whole life, entire life. So I was here, please, have my bike. Feel free to use it.
Did you return after that to pick it up, or is it still there?
It's still there.
Yeah.
Because other things happened. That's how I got my house. So I moved into a teepee. No, first it was in springtime. It was in April, so the conditions was great in the mountains. So I set out for a 1,800 kilometer long ski tour.
During COVID, you mean?
Exactly. So this husky I borrowed in 2019. Yeah. He was in a great shape. He was supposed to go for long distance races, but all the races were canceled because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So I called Frederick and asked, okay, maybe I can borrow Peak, the dog's name. Yeah. Again, he asked, of course. And Vega, my Bouvier, she started to be too old, so she was still at home. So, but my Chihuahua mix and this husky we set out. But this time we started in Dalarna. So I had 3 days of planning to arrange everything we needed for this tour. Went up to the most northern point of Sweden again. And the snow condition was still great. So we just make a loop around it and started to ski south.
For the people that don't really find this quite normal listening, how does that work? You say you just go with the skis and you have a tent, you just stop at some, you bring all your food. What is the process of doing 1,800 kilometers in Sweden?
Yeah, like this tour, they call it like the white ribbon. If you do it in wintertime, and if you do it in summertime, it's a green ribbon. It's not like a specific track you're following. You can make it, just decide yourself where to go. But most people are pulling a pulka, where you carry like tent, food, stove, everything.
And what is the terrain like? Is it like steep mountains, or is it more a bit hilly? Or how should
more hilly, I would say. But most of the time you try to follow the valleys. It's too heavy to like go straight up a mountain with like the most I have maybe 70 kilo or something in my pulka, depending on how much food I need.
70 kilo?
Yeah, something like that. Because you need like gasoline, food, and also depending on what route you take. I mean, they're not long stretches, like enormous long stretches, at least not in Sweden with wilderness. I mean, all the roads that goes from Sweden to Norway, you cross them, and most of them have food stores. So I just bought food at normal like shops.
So you always bought food for a couple of days then? It's kind of...
up to 2 weeks.
Up to 2 weeks.
Yeah. Normally it's like once a week. You pass a food store. But
nice.
Yeah,
and do you mostly use like dried food, or do you just bring kind of a lot of different things?
Different things, depending what I find in that specific food shop. But a nice thing with the winter, you can also buy like normal like freeze things, like so never freeze dried, just like frozen food.
Just frozen food, yeah, because it just stays cold.
I mean, you can find all kind of dishes.
Yeah.
Then
and then you just sleep somewhere, you put up a tent, and the next day you continue.
Exactly.
And that takes like 2 months. That's what you said.
Normally it takes, for most people it takes around 2 months, but this time after bicycling, and peak was also in a good shape, and so I don't remember. It took like a month.
Wow!
But it was like 1,400, like one go. I mean, from Dalarna up to Treriksröset, but we continue for another 400 kilometers south, and then we had to stop because the ice went up from all the lakes.
Yeah.
And did you turn this into your profession? Like, did you find sponsors and stuff to support you, or how did you go away for so long?
I mean, the first tour I did was in 2012.
Oh, yeah.
And since then, I've been out for like average minimum 6 months a year, like skiing, bicycling, hiking, kayaking. Yeah.
So it is your profession.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah. Now, but the first year I was working as much as I could to save up money, and then I was out for as long as I had money. Then I went back home, restarted with work, and did it like that. Yeah.
And how did that happen? Did you get the first sponsoring, or are you paid by somebody else to have your adventures?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning I didn't thought so much about sponsors. I mean, I had some equipment sponsored to test, but everything else I had to pay from my own pocket. But it's difficult to find sponsors and all that. But everything changed a bit in 2015. I won the award of, like, what do you call it? Like the Swedish Female Adventurer of the Year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is that's a yearly thing, I guess?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure if it's big or not, but it's at least it helps to find to reach out to sponsors. And I think the more I've been out, the more people I met, and things just happen. Yeah. So today I have some sponsors, so it makes it easier for me to be out for.
And are those more like outdoor brands, or is it random things like a bank or a...
Today it's outdoor brands, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not too good at the work with these things, because for me, maybe it could be easier if I spend some energy or try to find sponsors, but all I ever want to do is like to keep the passion about it and make it. I just make tours that I really want to do. It's not like it's difficult. I don't know exactly. I mean, if you start to do things for someone else, it can kill the passion.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, it's a very gray line, I think. And yeah, we always, when we work with somebody, we make sure that it's a product that we absolutely love and to use, and it just feels like it's a natural part of our life. So it doesn't feel like we have to do something extra.
No, it should be definitely part of your life.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah.
But you've managed so far, so that's cool. Wow.
Yeah, but the big difference now is I need money as I have huskies. Before I had just me and my 2 dogs, and now I have 10 huskies. And
you have 10 huskies now.
Yeah, I mean, everything happened during the pandemic. So when I get back after the ski tour, I moved into a teepee for the 3rd time in my life.
In the middle of nowhere, or somebody's backyard, or
like in the middle of nowhere, you can say, but next to a lake.
Yeah.
So I stayed there until
What was the reason for that?
I was still waiting for the pandemic to end, and I was like, okay, but it's nice. I mean, a teepee is quite big, and I didn't have my own house or something, so it was the easiest way.
And you just put it on a random piece of land, or you asked permission for it?
No, my family have some land. Okay. Yeah, my father and his brother has some around Jämtland, so it was way easier than as I wasn't
And how long did you live in the teepee then?
For 6 months.
Yeah,
until the winter hit again. And then as I moved into my father's place, and I think everyone has lived with their family, parents, as grown-ups. No, it's not too easy.
No, it's different.
Something happened.
Yeah.
So I stayed there for a couple of months maybe, and okay, we need a change. So I just found a house. Everything happened in 2 days. I found a house in Blocket, a small house, and decided to buy it. I mean, Jämtland, in a small village, you can find very not pricey.
Yeah. You remember the price? Or
1,700 Swedish crowns.
1,700. You mean?
Yeah, 170,000.
70,000 euro, right?
17,000 euros.
70,000 euros. Yeah.
70. Oh, sorry. Okay, my mistake. But 70,000 euros for a house. Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, and it's 2 small houses there. So I started to rent one of them out. That kind of...
Even for 2 houses?
Yeah, so it's 2 small. I mean, the one of them is 50 square meters. Another one is 40 square meters.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think people listening from somewhere else are how is it even possible to buy a house for that amount of money?
Yeah.
In Sweden, it's still possible.
It's still possible in many different places. We heard. Yeah.
And then suddenly there were 10 huskies. So what happened in between that stage of life?
I decided to keep Peak. I mean, after 2 long tours, you are so connected to each other. You can't. I think something happens when you're out there. The bond between you gets so strong. So I'm hey, I need to keep this dog. So I had a chance to do that. So, but to make sure he should like it in the new house, I borrowed a husky friend for him, and I started to go out skiing with them. When the first snow came, I'm okay, this will be my death. I'm not that good in skiing. Usually went faster and faster and faster. I didn't brake until I fall. So every time that was a quick stop every time. And Fredrik go, but you need a small sled. So I bought a small sled. And then I started to feel sorry for these dogs. 2 dogs, I'm too heavy for 2 dogs. So I borrowed a 3rd dog. And all of a sudden, I was in Grövelsjön again, the start point for the white ribbon, with 5 huskies in front of a sled. So I was skiing the Swedish mountain range again, but this time in what do you call it, Nordic style. So it was 5 huskies, this a mix between a polka and a sled, and I was attached to it with skis.
And you were
chaotic.
On skis attached to the polka
exactly.
And the dogs. Oh, wow.
But it also in the downhill, it was a mix. So there was some small skis.
A seating area or something.
This small skis, just this long. A normal sled has this length.
Yeah.
Of it.
Under the sled, you mean
exactly
the length of the skis. Yeah.
So the length of it that goes behind the sled. So I could stand on it in the steepest downhills and brake.
The things that we see here sometimes where you just push with one foot and
exactly.
you can stop it.
Yeah, exactly. So so this was something in between, so I could do that.
And wasn't that super scary, the downhill with that whole
but as I was standing on the sled, it was okay. But if I should be on the skis, then I'm not sure I should survive.
Wow.
So, but it was good. But the problem was like no of the dogs really knew like left or right, so it would be chaotic in the start. But when we reached this point of the 1,400 kilometers, it was supposed to be the end of the tour. Everything started to be so great. We was like a great team. So we decided, or me maybe, but I think it was me and the dogs that decided to go down to Dalarna again. So we did like a 2,800 kilometer long tour together.
And then by then, when you said left, the dogs went left, like kind of they were listening to your commands? Or...
Yeah, more and more, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You sound like somebody who just does things without really preparing for it, or am I mistaken with the dog thing? Did you learn how to train the huskies, or you just go with it and then just follow your own guts and feeling?
I mean, I had 1 month or something before I set off.
Yeah.
And also I think it helps that I quite a lot of like winter experience.
Yeah.
So I think it might be more difficult for someone that don't really know how to read like the weather or...
Yeah, but I mean the dog part, because we had a dog, and I know one dog is okay, you can teach it, but to put 6 dogs or 5 dogs in front of a sled, and then that's for me is like a next step.
Yeah, it was for sure. But I had like Peak was there, and we had been skiing together for 2... So
he's the leader of the pack.
Yeah, he was kind of... He was not like... he was not a leader in the beginning, but as we have been doing these 2 tours together and spend so much time together, I mean, we share the tent, we share everything. So even if it's not a leader, he did his very best. So even if he was not the leader, he became the leader. He really wants to please me. So, okay, you didn't mean like this. Then I try try all possible ways. So today is a great leader, I would say. Yeah.
Wow, that's a cool story.
And are there any specific challenges that you can remember that you didn't see coming along that road, and how you dealt with them?
But I mean, there are a lot of... I mean, that's the thing. We be out in the outdoors. You meet like challenges all the time. That's also in life, and it doesn't matter how you decide to live your life. It's so many challenges. But the great thing is like with the challenge that comes to you when you're out in the outdoors are the ones you can manage. I mean, you reach a steep hill. Like, okay, I will never get to the end of it. But even with like small baby steps, and you push, you do your very best. I was attached. I attached myself in front of the dogs and put in my 4-wheel drive kind of. I was like crawling up there. But we reach it, and then you feel like great. But if you see the challenge in your normal life, they come in such a pace, so you can never like finish complete one before you have 10 more that waiting for you.
That's true.
But I mean, there was weather sometimes, of course, and I come to a point where the snow was gone. And how to get... I mean, it's easy when you're skiing. Like, okay, you can go next to the road, but to get the dogs to go next to the road when it's hard and surface like on the road, why would it go to sink down to the stomachs? Like things like that, yeah.
So giving up has never been an option for you?
Not really, no. I don't think so, no. I mean, as long as I love what I'm doing, it's just... it's never about giving up, really. I just do what I like the most.
I think there's a big difference in life if you start a project or a journey and you're like, well, if I don't like it, I'll just go.
Yeah.
Or you're just like, I can do this, and whatever comes my way, I'm gonna...
So you always set a goal and you kind of reached that goal? Or was it an open ending?
Also open. I always open ending, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to be out for as long as I feel it's great.
Yeah.
But most of the time, that's been like longer than I first planned for.
Yeah.
I mean, me and Vegan Bounty, we walked over the Alps, the entire bow, 3,000 kilometer hike. And we were supposed to go back home when we reached Monaco. But then but it's still the weather's started to be good. So instead we went to Corsica and crossed, did a GR20, went back to mainland with a ferry. I supposed to take the flight back home, but I bought a bicycle and a trailer for kids to put the dogs in, and bicycled home instead. So it's open. Everything is open.
Have you always been this adventurous?
No. I would say no. Everything started by a coincidence. So gymnasium is that high school?
Yep.
Yeah. The plan was to go to university. I've been studying quite hard during the high school, but it also made me sick from studying. So I thought it could be nice to do something crafty. And in Sweden we have this folkhögskola.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult to explain that concept, even in Swedish.
Yeah.
So I will not go there. So, but I found one that was about handcraft. I thought, okay, it'd be great to do that for a year.
But for the listeners, it might be it's a simpler, or not a simpler, it's a more practical high school idea, right? That's a folkhögskola. Not to go into detail.
It might be. Sometimes it is. It can also be you study if you didn't fulfill the normal high school, you can go there and complete it.
Yeah.
But you can also it's also all kind of handcrafts. You can learn how to build a house. You can teach all kind of
it's
things.
It's basically a public free system where they offer amazing courses for everybody to do.
Yeah.
That's a great way to explain it. But when they called me, they said I had a place in the outdoor class because I filled in the wrong box when I applied for it. And this handcraft course was already full.
So you had to go to the outdoor
Exactly,
class.
but I didn't have any other plans.
Yes.
So where was that?
Close to here in Hollands Folkhögskola, they call it back then, but now it's Åredalens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that good? That's cool.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I started to, before I went there, I decided I will never stay in a tent again. Because the only time I've done it was on different music festivals. But I started to love the outdoors. I decided to take one more year to study to become a mountain leader. It's not a guide, but maybe lower level of a mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, you cannot call yourself a mountain guide because that's sometimes completely different.
Typically Swedish, I would say there's a level in between the real mountain, because there are a lot of just these flowy hills here, or not really mountains. So there's something in between, I would say.
Exactly, yeah. So it's not a high mountains. It's just to teach how to cross waters, behave in the snow, stuff like that. Yeah. So, and after that, I feel maybe I should do one long tour, but I didn't really felt ready for it. So instead, I went to Lofoten in Norway and had a third year in a folkhögskola.
Now you can do that too. As a Swede, you can go to Norway and have
they're open for all countries. Both in Sweden and Norway, anyone can come to this kind of schools, and they normally are more or less for free.
That one is what I looked into, but it was in Norwegian at the time. And now they're doing more and more of those in English. You can just, for any European, that's interesting to know. Also in Svalbard, you can also do one.
Yep.
In a Lofoten, and you can learn about climbing and all the...
Yeah, it's adventure school idea.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's free for any European. So.
But I think even from other countries, I had a class, not a classmate, but she was the year after me here in Åredalen. She was from Taiwan.
Okay.
Yeah. But maybe they don't have to apply for some other...
they can join, but often they do have to pay though.
Maybe, yeah.
That's at least from what I then researched. Maybe it's changed.
So you went to Lofoten, did a year there.
Exactly. And then I bicycled home, and I was planning, and in 2012, I started my first long tour. And after that, I've been out every year.
But is this long tour idea, is that being programmed into you during the school, or fed, this is something you want to do? Or is it you innately that felt oh, now I know all this stuff, I really want to practically use it and go out?
Yeah, more like that. Maybe I wanted to do one tour.
Yeah.
But then you get hit by a bug, kind of. And now I can't really stop. I find out where I feel the best, where I enjoy it the most. So now I feel if I found this in me where I feel like the greatest, or feel like mentally, I mean, in all kind of ways. It's kind of stupid if I should use my time for other things.
Yeah. You felt where you belong.
Yes, that's a good way to express it. Thank you. Yeah.
And is it about it, the thing, if I think back at the pilgrimage that we did, I really liked the fact of just walking, eating, sleeping, being in a sort of rhythm and not that many distractions. You meet amazing people and it's just, you're so in life. You're
it's
so
a simple life in a way
and
as well.
Is that for you what kind of makes it your happy place, or is there something else about it?
It's very I don't know exactly, but it's something. I mean, it's very simple. I mean, that probably that makes it so easy. You just do like just your basic needs that are important, and also when it's everything is about the basic needs, it's so easy to feel like joy and really appreciate things. I mean, someone get up to you and give you a cookie, like, wow, this is you can almost start to cry. And in like, especially in Sweden, we have like such a great, like easy lives, but still, how come people feel so bad mentally? Yeah, I think one of the things might be that it's so difficult to appreciate.
But it's also exhausting in some way, or at least that's how I experienced it. When you think of somebody doing something like this in your mind, you can probably visualize, okay, in your case, you're skiing with the dogs, you're giving them food, you make your tent, you go to bed. But every little thing costs so much energy. It is about, or when I think about our time in the bus or in the camper, all the little things are harder. So if you want to go to the toilet, it's more complicated.
In minus 44.
In minus 44.
How do you do that, by the way?
Cooking, all those little things, they make your day. Exactly. Whereas in this life, or what we're now living, it is the house and the dishwasher and the washing. It's a different kind of daily life. I don't know if I explain it right.
But still, you have less time, right? It feels that's my feeling. Like, even when I'm home, like, how can I have this like less amount of time? But now I have the dishwasher that do the dish for me. I have this like I can just turn on the electricity and I
think because you have more things.
Yeah, exactly.
As soon as it's a house, there's so many things to think about. And when you're out in nature with your dogs, you know what you have, that's it, and that's what you got to deal with. So it's a more compact situation.
Yeah.
And it's only the only thing you're doing.
Yeah,
as soon as you're home, you're starting planning things, and you're meeting up, and you're doing other things, and everything comes together. So.
Whenever we came back from a trip to Belgium, it was like, okay, we have to go to the dentist, and we have to do this, and wash our sleeping bags, and like all those things that you didn't think about for like 9 months, but suddenly it's...
Did you also walk without skis? Because I'm quite curious about the whole mountain range Alps trip that you did. It's a 3,000 kilometer trip, you said, over the hills of the Alps? The mountains?
Exactly, like the entire bow, the Alps. I've done several like longer hikes. So the Swedish, and so when I told you like before in 2015, I become the first. I got this award.
Why did you get that? What was the?
Because I was the first person to connect the 3 ribbons we have in Sweden. So I started by skis, like do the white ribbon. Then I kayaked the Swedish coastline, that's the blue ribbon, and then I hiked or walked the Swedish mountain range on foot, and that's a green ribbon.
Oh.
So I became the first person to do it in like one go.
And no other person did it before you?
No.
Wow. And that's just something that came up in your mind, or happened naturally?
It happened naturally because I first time I was skiing the mountain range, it was 2012.
Yeah.
And then I was like, when I reached the end point, I didn't want to stop. So I called my father, but Papa, please. You know the father voice you can do, like when you really want something from him. May you please come up here with my bicycle and the trailer for Vega? So we continue the rest of the border by bicycle, like down to first we followed like the Finnish like country line, and then the east coast down. And
so you had this tiny dog with you. Just to understand this one, where did that dog come into your story? Because I guess it's not the most adventurous dog to take on these journeys.
The first one, Vega, I bought her as a puppy when I was still in this outdoor school here. And then I never thought of what can she be doing or not. But she was just a part of my life. So we just did everything together and find ways, like different ways to solve it.
You just made it work.
Yeah. Without like thinking. So when we lived in Lofoten, I stayed there like the summer after the school finished. And I think we climbed like 60 of the summits there.
And she walks by herself?
Yeah.
Really?
And it's always off leash. She's not here with me anymore. She passed away some years ago, and that was very it's sad.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a dog's life is very short. And this Chihuahua, she came to me later, but we can. I was in southern part of Spain for the rock climbing, and I told my friends like, okay, please don't feed the dogs, like the stray dogs. They will just come here, and I don't want to have any like diseases like I can bring back to Vega. But I was the one that started to feed all the dogs. Like I bought like 60 kilo of dog food while staying there. We was there for like 10 weeks. We used to do rock climbing. And one dog, like I woke up in the middle of the night, had like, I heard something in the vestibule of the tent. I thought it was a rat or something there, like stealing food. But it was a tiny dog. He just looked up at me and had like big eyes. And then she ran straight into the tent, down to my sleeping bag, and decided to stay there. And like, okay, I was sure I was rabies or something after that night. Because as soon as I was moving, she was like biting after me. And but she started to come back like every night. And then she started to come with me in the daytimes, like follow me to the cliffs and like was sitting there watching me while I was climbing. And then she started to sit in my backpack. And I like, okay, this dog wants to come with me to Sweden. So I hitchhiked to the closest like town, brought her to the veterinarian, took her there, and fixed the passport, vaccinations, the worm, all these things you need, and took her. Yeah, so brought her with me home, and after 3 weeks, I had 3 puppies. It's a nice surprise. And Bounty that has with me now. This is like 12 years ago. So she has just been following me on everything. I mean, she has been great now. She's 12, so she has not so much energy. But she has been running with me when I've been out with the huskies, like up to 65 kilometers a day. And she's just 4.5 kilos, so yeah. But she decides
this
herself.
Is very impressive. I'm surprised that she can do so much.
But she decides herself what to do. So if she's sitting on the pulka or the sled, or if she's running, no one can force her to do anything. She's the boss. Yeah. And for these hikes, Bounty has been with me for most of them, and also Vega. So the only hike they didn't came along was along the PCT, so from Mexican border up to
you did
the
that
Canadian
one as
border.
Well?
Yeah.
I'm just like mind blown right now. Is it?
Can I ask the question? How old are you?
36.
36. It sounds like all these hikes you've done. It's more than 2 lifetimes or 3 lifetimes.
Yeah, but I've been out for a minimum. Like now it's a bit less. But before I got all these huskies, I was out for a minimum of 6 months a year.
Yeah, since you were 20 something.
Yeah, 20 something. Yeah, in my early 20s. So I think that also made it easier for me. I never get into this what we call it hamster wheel.
Rat race.
Rat race. Yeah. I'm used to there, and so I'm just doing these things. I never lived a different life.
So you like for next year also, you already plan something that you want to do, like a big trail? Yeah. Yeah.
As I have huskies now, so I will go out with them try to be out for 100 days in the snow. Yeah.
And where?
Yeah, I haven't decided completely yet. I just I want to be out for a long time. So either it will be like 3 of these white ribbons, or if I go to like from here, start here somewhere. And just go up north and get into Norway and maybe Finnmark.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll see.
And have you thought, or are you doing competitions at all?
No.
Not your thing? No.
I think it's not be good for me or the others. I think something might grow out. That's not good, yeah.
Next time when people think I've lived a crazy life, I'll give them your phone number.
Yeah.
Talk to her.
I don't think you think it's crazy, right? Your life. Yeah. You feel like it's a normal life. This is just your life.
Yeah, exactly. It's just my life.
Yeah.
And I don't do like extreme. It's not extreme sport. Like all the things I do is like kind of more or less anyone
could do.
Yeah.
But it is. I don't think you should simplify it that much, even though it is. But it is endurance, and there is a certain mental strength that is extreme in some way. Like, for example, the PCT. It is not easy, at least from what I've heard. You know, you're going to all climates and carrying a lot of weight, and
yeah. But also, I think people like to describe things as they are a bit harder than they are, because otherwise it doesn't feel. It's not so cool. It's not a selling story. If you say like, but it's just one foot in front of the other, and you can just. When you feel for having a break, you can just take a break, and it doesn't matter. If you want to do it in 2 months, that would be crazy. That's not for everyone. But if you take it in your pace, it's you can just do it. Yeah.
Mm. I think that's a good lesson, though. If you look at really long periods of hiking or trails, it is exactly that. We also experienced that during the pilgrimage in Spain.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
I did it with 2 of my dogs.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. If you set one foot in front of the other one, you'll reach your goal wherever you want to be.
Exactly.
And there are multiple stops where you can take a break. And,
So,
but it is a physical thing in a way. But on the other hand as well, you get more stronger each time you do it, and more comfortable doing it. So it is not like you're going from one thing up to the maximum of your capacity.
Often we look at it at like the complete story. Yeah. But there have been moments for sure that I was like trembling because I was so dead tired that we walked 35 kilometers and then we couldn't sleep in an albergue because we had our dog as well.
Yeah.
So we still had to find a place to sleep, and then we had to walk like another 8 kilometers. Yeah. And those moments I probably did not like it that much. But then you get so many beautiful moments in return, and you get stronger. But at the end, we could almost run the thing. Like,
that's it.
You get super strong. But is it easy? Yeah. I do like your description and trying to take it in. Like, it's just one foot in front of the other, and don't see it as the big. But that's life in general, right? If we look at a project, for example, this podcast.
Yeah.
Starting it, we could have thought like, whoa, okay, how are we going to do that? But we just thought, okay, one step at a time. We're going to contact somebody and see from there, and then we're going to invite people. And if you don't look at it like a mountain,
yeah, exactly,
like cool, fun little trail with obstacles, then it becomes a lot easier to handle.
I'm still curious about the PCT trail because we haven't walked that, and it's been something on our minds
as well. We're going to do it at some point.
Yeah.
Is it an easy preparation, or is it an easy in general? Just go and experience, or you would have some advice for us as noobs?
Today it's extremely easy.
Yeah.
As you have like the most challenging part with the PCT, from my point of view, is like the water, like in California. But today they have the water report, so you can download it, so you can like the water caches, how much water is there, the creeks, are they dry or not?
Mm. So the hardest issue is to find water or drinkable water, or have enough drinkable water.
Exactly. But it's not but as you know where you find it, it's not a big thing. And also like how to handle the heat. But that maybe you have to walk in the nighttime or early mornings.
Did you came across any crazy animals along the way, or?
Like a rattlesnake and bears. This is one of the words. They all sound the same for me. Bear, the beer, like a bird. Everything is so maybe I said like the thing you're drinking, but I meant the animal. So who knows?
The bears, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the bears, yeah, exactly.
But did they ever come like really close, or were you able to just stay away from them?
They was just running off. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And what I read from the PCT trail, but that might have changed as well. But that you need to send a lot of packages to your stops in advance with like food and stuff, or is that not necessary anymore?
In some places, but today you find everything online. It's like they are pre-planned plans, so okay, so that specific is maybe 2 places you really need to send food in advance, but then it's not so difficult because what post office to send it. You know exactly what to write on the package. Otherwise, that's kind of things are kind of difficult to find out. But as you always know, like where to resupply, and you also need to like hitchhike some areas because the food shops are not on the trail. So 20, 30, 40, 50 kilometers, maybe you need to hitchhike, and then you just hitchhike back. So everything, but like all info is there.
How many people were you walking with? Like walking at the same rhythm as you?
This is like one of the this is this second time, like 2 times I've been hiking with a company for the whole way, and this was so I did it with a friend, and sometimes we you always find someone that keeps the same pace that you catch up with now and then.
But it was not like on the Camino you have, let's say in our case it was 14 people walking at around the same speed. You didn't have that on the PCT?
In some areas, some areas are more popular, and then you go to the water holes kind of. So in and out from towns, there are always like more people. But in some areas, it's quite remote. You can hike for a whole day without seeing other hikers.
Mm.
Yeah.
And do you tend to avoid other people, or do you tend to crave for that social aspect a bit sometimes? Or?
Yeah, sometimes for sure. Yeah.
Wow.
But I can imagine if you're doing the tours in Sweden, it's less people even. Are you sometimes alone for months? Or
you could be, probably. So when I was skiing the mountain range the first time, I was like 3/4 of the tour. I was like outside the trails, like the winter trails. I had to make my own tracks and went into remote valleys. I tried to be as close as possible to the Norwegian border. Sometimes I was on the Swedish side, sometimes on the Norwegian side, and I was crossing over. So it was some weeks without seeing any other people.
Mm. And then you crave some social contact after that?
Yeah. But also, I think, also, it's also a bit kind of a stress when you come close to towns or villages, because there's so much work that needs to be done. Resupply, wash the clothes, wash the hair. Oh, you find out, I forgot to brush it for some weeks. Why didn't I do that? And it takes like hours to take all like knots out.
Yeah.
So back to reality for a few days.
Yeah.
And what does your reality look like here right now? A normal day in the life of?
Like when I'm not out, like I try to spend as much time as possible in the nature. But as right now, it's the autumn training with the dogs, and it takes about 20 to 30 hours a week to prepare them now. Yeah, for the upcoming winter tour. So, and I also work at like extra at a retirement home, like with old people.
Mm.
So it's difficult to have time for so much more. But I also go out to hold presentations about my tours, like small courses.
For companies or for schools or?
Mostly for companies, or I'm open for like anyone. But I said I'm not so good in like PR, so it's just or reaching out.
Yeah. It's great that you're sharing your story. So then every day now for a few hours you go out with the dogs.
Yep.
And that is then with a sled. Now it snows, or is that more walking?
No, I have a cart or a ATV. So sometimes I'm using this wagon thing you're standing on, but it's not too safe. Now it starts to be a bit more ice, and it's not the dogs a bit too strong for it. So if they decide to go down to a ditch, I'm just following with them if I take that one. So it's a bit better with the ATV. I'm just longing. I think the dogs are also longing for the sled.
For the winter.
Yeah.
And so let's say here, for example, we know there's a lot of forests and mountains, and you can just go anywhere, or do you need to find a certain trail, or do you work together with others to create a trail that's best for the dogs?
I mean, in the wintertime?
Yep.
But there are so many like already existing trails. You can go on there are like clubs for snowmobiles, and they make up their own. So it's like a spider web of different trails you can connect to each other. Yeah. And sometimes
And you're allowed to go on there, even if it's for snow scooters.
Yeah, of course. There are no, like in Sweden, we have, even if it's written like a snowmobile track, it's still like more of a winter trail that allows snowmobiles. Like, so everything is open for if you want to go there with snowshoes, skis, or whatever.
That's good to know.
You're free to do it. But then in some areas, it's a bit scary though. I realized when I'm coming with like the 9 dogs, and that's the maximum I go for in the winter because I cannot really break them in the downhill otherwise if it's too icy. And then in the areas where it's super popular with snowmobiles, they come extremely fast and they don't really see you because it's like winding roads. Yeah.
And do the dogs, I guess, because they're running with so many dogs at the same time, do they ever get into accidents that they hurt themselves or that their paw gets stuck somewhere? Or does that not really happen?
Oh, things happen all the time. And also I have just both females and males.
Okay.
So every year I've been out with them, someone get into the heat.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. And then the females, they are best friends. Then they hate each other. And also with the males, so like...
This is more intense than children. It's like...
Yeah, and then sometimes they get into a fight. So I never have big injuries because of these fights, but still they have bitten each other, so they need like antibiotics and try to solve that on the trail. And
because if one of them needs to be out or needs to rest or something, does it then still work with 8? Or is it a very system that needs to be in a certain way? No,
you just have to solve it as it is. And I also feel like open, like, sometimes we need extra rest because of one dog. They get like, some like get sick from eating something bad, or maybe they have like sore somewhere in the leg. So often for me, it's been enough to massage them and give them some extra rest, for example. Some snow is, when they trek down all the time, it's hard for them. There are all kind of snow types.
Because I don't think I've met or heard of many people like you yet. Most of the time when people do dog sledding, it's either to take people as a business or to do competitions.
Exactly.
But you're just doing it for pleasure, for your own happiness, I guess.
And it takes quite a lot more planning. But for every time you're doing it, it's easier because now I know where to find food for them. I can go to a normal food shop, but they cannot eat any crackers. Their stomachs can't take it. They need a specific type. Meat, they can take any kind. So now I find other mushers along the road. But that took some planning to reach out to these people to know where to buy meat. They cannot have meat every day, of course, because you cannot send it in advance.
Do you hunt as well?
No. Okay. I've been a vegetarian for like 30 years.
Okay.
I tried fishing this winter. As I brought a drill. Otherwise, I need 10 liters of water every morning and every evening for me and the dogs.
Yeah.
And have you tried to melt snow?
Takes a while.
It takes a while. For 10 liters, it takes like, the whole day.
Yeah.
So now I have a drill with me instead. And I'm like, if I just have the drill, I can just try fishing.
Did you catch one already?
No, and I just tried for like 10 minutes in total. I was kind of bored. No fish here.
Need a bit of patience.
Yeah.
Very satisfying though, once you do catch that fish, I guess.
But then I don't really know what to do with it. How to kill it. I'm like, I need to find
YouTube. It's not that hard.
Hopefully I have reception when it's happening. Yeah. Or just give it to the dogs.
Is it not super expensive to have all these dogs and like all the medical costs? Do you have like an insurance for it?
It's the other reason why I need to work so much.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like veterinarian costs. It's food. It's equipment. I also I don't want to have them just in their kennels. I want to let them have like, I buy them toys, extra bones, or to try to find ways to make give them their best lives, kind of. Yeah.
Because you also can't just put them all in one space. I think you need to separate them a bit, right? And depending on the moment of the heat and all those things.
Exactly. So I have 5 different kennels, but also a big playground for them. like in maybe 300 square meter big, like area.
Have you ever thought about breeding?
No. I had puppies by accident. I have two boys from that litter. Yeah.
So it did happen.
It can happen, but now I start to castrate them, like more and more. But also they also live indoors with me, but I cannot have like all 10 of them. So maximum 6 of them at go.
Do other mushers have one kind? I mean, female or male, or do they mix it as well?
It's very different. Like people are doing it different ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no one rule to do this. It's just how you feel.
Yeah.
Nice.
And do you have any bucket lists, hikes, tours, dreams because it sounds like you almost did everything, but there must be more in the world that you still want to do?
Yeah, I mean, the world is enormous. I've never never done anything in Asia, South America. Last year I was hiking from Kosovo to Slovenia.
Okay.
Like the Via Trail. And I really would love to continue that hike more east.
But now, then, just to think logistics, now you have a lot of dogs, and I guess you can't just leave them, and you can't also just bring 9 dogs, or maybe you can.
No, no, I can't. No, but right now, I'm very lucky. The one that lives in my second house, they have 10 huskies themselves.
Okay.
So this summer I was out kayaking. I did the Swedish coastline for the 3rd time, and then they looked after my dogs. We can have a deal, like they could live for free if they looked after my dogs.
That's a very good find as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Perfect solution.
That's the way I need to find solutions all the time. Yeah. And I did the same last year when I went out for this hike.
And it seems like you're going back to the same trips as well. Is that something you like to do?
At least the only one I go back to is the Swedish mountain range in the wintertime. Because the Swedish mountain range is very unique. There are not so many places in the world where you can do long distance winter tours.
Mm.
Why not?
In the Alps, it's too hilly.
Yeah.
And also, you go down, it's no snow in the valleys. You need to, of course you can do it, but not not with skis and pulkas or with mushing.
A very unique place in the world. And maybe Canada or Alaska has similar
I think so too,
types there.
But then it takes a lot more planning where to find food and So and also now I never planned to have 10 huskies, but now I have 10 huskies and I want to give them a great experience every year. And for them, they love the long tours.
Yeah.
So we talked about Asia and maybe South America, but then you look up a route that already exists and you try to find as much info as possible, or do you just think that region is interesting for me? That's where I want to go next.
Yeah, it's more like that. So when I did the Carpathian Mountains,
wait, where is that?
Slovakia, Czech Republic,
okay,
Poland, Ukraine, Romania, down to Serbia.
Yeah,
there are some existing routes. So I need to do some more planning. But in some of these areas, it's very difficult to find maps. It was difficult to find. So then I needed to do some more planning, but also keep it a bit open and ask locals about advice, where to go, how to,
So just do it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's also thing when you're there, you just, without really thinking about it, you solve it. But then you need, of course, food. So when I did it Via last year, they started up, it's kind of a trail, but some, the longest you have to hike without water is 100 kilometers something, or 80. Yeah, something like that. You need to plan for it. Yeah. So I used not go. Some things I look up. But I try to keep it simple.
When you need to plan, you look.
Exactly.
Look it up.
And do you have a favorite between biking and kayaking and
or in
hiking?
General, a favorite trail? Overall, it's hard to pick, I guess.
It's very hard to pick, but for the winter, of course, it's a Swedish mountain range. And I think more people should go. There are so many ways to do it. If you're not a great skier, you can go it with snowshoes. I think there are no no person has yet done the entire length of the Swedish mountain range on snowshoes.
And you think it's possible?
Yeah, of course. No problem at all. I mean, people are doing the King's Trail all of it on snowshoes, and that's kind of a big part of it. So if someone wants to become first in one thing, they can go for that.
How long would it take, you think?
2 months, I would say.
Yeah.
That's doable.
2 to 3 months, depending on your pace. And
you would be very lonely that trip, or you would meet people?
You meet people, You can also decide, choose routes that are more traffic. And I mean, there are quite many of these huts.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to stay in a tent the whole, you can probably stay more than half the nights indoors, like in shelters or.
But you would have
huts.
to bring a tent. It's not possible without a tent. You think?
No, and also what happens if the weather suddenly changed in between the huts? I'm thinking. So I think it's always a good idea.
So in this whole life of yours, is there a partner involved at all? Or that seems like a very hard thing to blend with your lifestyle.
I have a nice tattoo. It's written like "Dogs forever, boys for never." So it's a bit easier to keep so now and then I would say I've tried to, but it's not too easy.
Yeah.
When you suddenly see you in 6 months.
Yeah.
Oh, didn't I tell you? I planned for this hike for a week now. Yeah.
No.
Try sometimes, but it's not too easy.
So not at this point in your life. And you haven't come across anybody who wants to join you on all these adventures, or you prefer to be alone?
I think it's better to be alone than with the wrong company, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So far,
it's you and the dogs.
Yeah, and I'm happy with it too. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh. And I have a lot of children around me. I mean, my sisters, 2 of them have in total 8 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot. And what does your family think of all your adventures, your lifestyle?
Yes, that they get used to it. In the beginning, why? What's the point? I'll be still a bit like that, but now they're used.
Do they ever visit you along a trip somewhere?
This summer, 2 of my sisters did, and 2 of them my sister brought her 2 daughters. They are 2 and 3 years old. So as I passed Stockholm, they went and they were there. Yeah, my twin sister, she's living in Stockholm, and my younger sister, she was there visiting her. So by a coincidence, we were in Stockholm at the same time.
Oh.
They came out.
You have a twin sister?
I have a twin sister, but we live completely different lives,
That's even funnier than because you're basically born at the same moment. And have you ever been similar were you similar when you were young, or it always has been 2 different characters?
Yeah, completely different characters. I mean, and even in the way we are not, we have 2 different eggs, so we're not similar at all. Even, I mean, she's tall. I'm not that tall. And
But you were brought up the same way. Did you as a family go on adventures at all when you were younger?
No.
No?
If we are from Jämtland, you need to have a reason to go out, go into the mountains or into the nature.
Yeah.
Mushroom picking, it's okay. Picking berries is okay. But to walk from one point to another just because it's nice, you don't really do that.
Really?
Yeah. The one that you meet here that are doing that, they are not probably from here. They are moved here.
Yeah, that's probably very true. Then for you guys, it's normal. It's the daily life. Why would you go stroll through that landscape just for fun? And we like it, but we didn't grow up like that.
Mm. Yeah, but most people moving here, it's one of their main reasons that they want to go out in nature and do things.
Exactly.
If it's skiing, snowboarding, walking, hiking, biking, whatever it is, they do a lot of these things. And it's so interesting to hear that people who are born here are like, I'll do some picking from berries and stuff, but I won't go on these adventures. Mm. But then something triggered in you and you actually went for it. So that's also good to hear that there's other possibilities.
Yeah.
That not the only option is to move to Stockholm and go to the city life and experience all that part.
Yeah, it's possible in the end.
So you talk to some companies, you say, or people or groups. what are the top things you talk about then? Is it always about planning a trip, or is it more about the experience?
Mostly it's more about experience. But it depends. Sometimes they ask for something specific.
Yeah.
A specific topic.
Like, for example?
Like leadership was someone asking about, and how to make like a group work, because they were thinking like, okay, when you're out like with a pack of dogs, like 10 huskies or 8 huskies, how to think about to make them to a group, or like it was a bit difficult to talk even in Swedish, and it was even more difficult to explain it in English. I'm not that strong in English.
But I can see the relevance in a way, because you're, I guess, managing multiple characters at the same time. You could translate that to humans. Did you find that has any actual effect on you in your daily life? Do you understand groups of people better, or people in general?
I would not say better, but maybe it at least helped me to become a bit better than I was in before. At least, yeah.
I was wondering this might be a thing.
I imagine you met so many people along all these journeys. Are you still in touch with them? Or is there, for example, somebody that you met along a certain hike and then joined you for another hike? Or are your adventures always separate from each other?
I mean, some of them I still really keep in touch with, and we met up at other places. And some contacts are more like, I mean, it's easy to feel like you really get to know someone when you're out on the trail, because your phone doesn't work, so you're really into the conversation. You're really there. But then most people get back to their everyday life, and the time is just running.
Yeah.
So it's a bit both.
Are there many other people like you out there, just doing only trails and adventure? And is it kind of a mini community?
Probably.
But
I guess so.
Yeah, you haven't met them a lot of them?
The long distance hiking, they are real like community thing.
Yeah.
So I know like a lot of people that did a PCT, for example. When they like talk about themselves, they are a PCT hiker, kind of. But I cannot really relate to them. Exactly, into that.
Yeah.
So
you're kind of one of a kind in the whole adventure world.
I'm not sure.
That's what I feel.
Yeah.
If you're not.
Often people identify, like you say, with what they do, and it's a one thing, and that's the biggest thing they do in their life.
Yeah.
But you just keep becoming a new identity, and then that's this hike, and then you go for it, and you choose something else.
Yeah,
again,
or kayak and skiing and dogs. There's a multitude of things that you do. It's not that normal or common, I would say. Maybe it's normal for you, but in general, I have never.
But I think you've just cracked a certain code on how to do this. You figured it out, and you're like, this system works for me. It makes me happy, so I'm just gonna keep doing that. And for you, it's not anymore like it's one thing that's gonna change my life. You're constantly growing as a person, putting a new perspective on your life, looking up new challenges. You never make it easy on yourself, but it also is your easy place because it is your happy place.
Yeah.
Did I correct that?
Yeah,
that's a good
way to say it. Yeah.
But going on that, do you actually look for harder things? You want to push yourself, or is it just always this is what I want to do? I'll go out for a couple of months and that's it. You're not like saying I want to go for a whole year or 2 years or 10,000 kilometers. You don't have any like literally goals in that way.
Not in that way, no.
Okay.
And I think that's where it's special.
Yeah, exactly.
Because often as a person, we are competitive with ourselves. I am for sure. If I do the pilgrimage again, I want to do maybe a harder route or a different one.
Yeah.
I need to always overtop myself. But you don't have that necessarily. And it sounds so peaceful. Yeah. That's a good skill, or I don't know, a nice mindset. Maybe we should all have a little bit more, that it's also okay to just enjoy, and we don't always need more, harder, bigger, further. Just be.
And do what you want to do then in the end. Nice. Do you have any advice for anybody who wants to start off like an adventure you are doing?
the first step is the hardest. So you just have to get out from the door. You don't need to do something extreme in the beginning. I mean, if you're aiming to be out in the winter, I think of course you need to know your equipment.
So do a shorter hike trips.
Exactly, and then maybe you can go from one hut to another to start with, and then make it harder and harder. I mean, I had before I started off, I had 3 years in outdoor schools, so I had some experience and knowledge.
So you had 3 years in outdoor school, so you have had a base. It's not like you started from zero.
No, but for hikes, I think you can start from zero and like start off very like easy. So when I did my first kayak tour, I've been sitting in a kayak for 10 times before just. So then I needed to start out like really easy, and then make it like.
What was it? What did you do? Was it really easy, that first kayak trip?
But maybe like 10 kilometers the first day.
Yeah.
For my first kayak tour, it was the entire length of the Swedish coastline. But it's still, you can still start out
slowly.
Slowly.
But it sounds very peaceful, like kayaking, but it's probably quite challenging at some points with currents and waves and things happening.
And your clothes are wet all the time.
Oh, great.
So that's something to deal with, yeah.
But I think in the end, Tim and I are not the most. We don't prepare a lot when we go on an adventure. We like to just dive into it, and I think I think we're both the same in that. You don't like to research, but I also don't really like to think too much about it.
Yeah.
So we just go for it, and we manage.
Yep.
And let's say you go to do a month-long hike. I think you can do that without training.
Yep.
But it's just going to be harder in some way. You need to overcome more muscle aches and challenges along the way. And I prefer that. I like to just bounce through it than to build it up slowly. I don't like to build it up slowly.
No.
But I think, both ways work. So if people want to do something like that, like you say, just do it. Take the first step.
Yeah, I think like too many people they get stuck in the planning phase. They're like dreaming about so many things, but they never like even try. They're just planning and think it's about the equipment. But if you have like a heavy gear, you can still do it. You don't necessarily need to do 40 or 50 kilometers a day. If your gear is too heavy, you can go out for 10 kilometers a day. Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, that's very true.
Or borrow from someone, or today they have this, in Sweden we have so many of these outdoor libraries.
Oh yeah, what's that?
It's a kind of a library, but instead of books they have equipment.
Oh, nice.
So you can borrow the things you need for some weeks.
Oh.
But in Sweden we have as well, because I know it exists in Norway. It's called boa. Don't know the word. Something with a B.
Yeah.
But where do we find that in Sweden?
Fritidsbanken is the name.
Okay.
Of this kind of libraries.
And is there one in Jämtland as well?
I think they have the one in Östersund.
Okay. Yeah. That's cool to know.
And is that available to anyone, or only if you live in Östersund?
I think they are available for like anyone, yeah.
Good to know.
It's very good to know. Yeah, didn't know that.
Yeah.
Is there anything we haven't talked about yet that you still want to share?
No, I don't think so. I feel like I've been like talking and talking and talking. Yeah.
That's what you're here for today, is to talk and talk. And it has been amazing to get to know you.
Yeah.
And to hear your stories. We didn't know much, which is our favorite approach. That we just can get to know you along the way.
Yeah.
And it's been mind-blowing for sure.
Yeah.
To wrap it up, I have some rapid fire fun for you. Skiing or snowboarding?
Skiing, snowboarding. Only people who want to die is doing that. And I think it would live for some more years, yeah. I tried.
You're not doing any? No?
Oh, no. Yeah. Now I think something happened. When I was 20, I tried sometimes. But now I think I will break every leg in my body.
Oh, you do ski in some way. It's different.
Not downhill skiing.
Not too much downhill, no.
Hiking or biking?
Oh, that's a hard one. Hiking.
Hiking.
Yeah.
Hot tub or sauna?
Sauna.
And are you an evening person or a morning person?
maybe more. Yeah, morning. So yeah, this summer I get up at between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock every morning.
That's like still night.
Yeah, okay.
That's not even morning.
Because you want to, or for your dogs? Or?
No, it was because of the kayaking. The water is more shallow.
Okay.
In the morning.
That was the reason.
Yeah.
And then you get used to it. You don't hate it every morning.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
You adapt.
Yeah.
That's nice.
That must be nice.
But I'm working night shifts though. So when I'm in my back home, I'm used to most of the time I'm doing the night shifts. I'm not sure, but still I think I'm a morning person. Yeah.
It must be nice though to be on the water at 2 in the morning.
Yeah,
it's
it
just
is.
Very calm.
No other boats out.
No nothing.
No. You see like different animals and yeah.
The world is a different place when the rest of the people are asleep, right?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
It is it's the same in a city. If you walk through a city in the middle of the night, there's nobody there and it's just such a different feeling.
Yeah, and in the summer at 2 o'clock it's already light, I guess.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
That's the fun thing about living in Sweden, that high up north.
Yeah, that's true. And it's not easy. It would be cool to do like a hike like you do, a long one, and then always just wake up when the sun comes up.
Yeah.
And go to sleep. Yeah, when you're far up north, then you only sleep 3 hours a night. So that's not
maximum, yeah. Far up north, no sleep at all. Yeah.
That's not really going to work either. No. That's it. That's all.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
today.
Thanks for the conversation. I'm amazed. It's really cool to hear.